What is an assignment agreement in real estate? And in this video, I'm going to talk about the 8 things necessary inside the assignment agreement to make sure that you get your deal. All right, guys, in this video, I'm going to show you what I wish someone would have done for me, and that's walk you through kind of step by step the big items, the things that are most important. In fact, number 3, if not executed, can absolutely kill your deal. Now, briefly, guys, there's 2 contracts when it comes to wholesaling. There's the A to B, or you with the seller. So if you're wholesaling a home, you're looking for discounted properties, you first have to put the home under contract with the seller. We'll call that A to B. Then the second part about that is you, the wholesaler, has to find a cash buyer that's actually going to perform on the contract that you just put the home under contract with. That's B to C. That's the one we're going to be focusing on. The contract between you and your end buyer, your cash buyer that's actually going to buy the home. So let's get to it now. All right, we're going to be going through this contract, guys. Now, we're going to have my team put this up on the screen. While you're doing that, they're going to highlight some of the things that we're going to be talking about, so don't worry about that. Now, guys, also, this is something that's just a sample agreement. We're going to include this where you can get this download so that you have it as well in your hands. But know that every state has its way of defining what real estate is. So this is just a sample agreement. This is something you'd still want to run by a title company or a real estate attorney, just so you can get their blessing if there's anything that needs to be removed or any additions that need to be made to the contract. Right up at the top, this agreement is right between the assignor and the assignee. So who's the assignor? If I'm the one that found the deal, I'm the wholesaler, I'm the assignor, and I'm going to be putting this agreement together with the assignee. The assignee is going to be the cash buyer. All right, guys, let's go with A, and that is really the underlying agreement, right? So in that first blank, you're going to put the name of the seller, because I personally am already going under as the assignor under contract with the seller. That's going to be the first blank right there. Throughout this contract, you're going to see me looking down because right here, I have the contract. I really want to go through this thoroughly with you guys so that you get this step by step. Your next space under A is what you're going to have the property address be. So it looks like a little space. You just need the home address and the street. That's it. Because the next space down below is where you're going to write out the full identification of the home. The street, the city, the state, the zip code, you'll put it in that blank. Under that is your parcel ID. Now, a simple place to find that is just your county assessor's website. It's going to bring up all the parcel ID information, and there's going to be a little number attached to every property in the state that you live. That number goes in that blank right there. The big thing to know here is that the assignee, or your cash buyer, they're agreeing to the whole underlying transaction, the whole underlying contract that you have with the seller. So if they get to live there for an extra week, or they get to leave all their garbage behind, or they're buying it as is, your cash buyer is agreeing to every one of those terms that you set up with the seller. Let's skip down to number 3, because this is a big one. This is the one we're talking about that can be a deal killer. This is the one that can kill more deals than I hear this from even students I talk to all the time. This is the one that can mess up most assignment agreements, and that is they don't hold the cash buyers accountable. Now, what holds your cash buyer accountable, or your assignee? That is them dropping off, not just saying, yes, I want the deal, and sign an assignment agreement. There's got to be some kind of collateral. And for that, we always take money as earnest money, but here's the kicker. It's non-refundable. I don't want them to just say, yep, I want it, here's $200, and then at the end they say, actually, you know what, we found out we don't want it, and now you're left to canceling the contract. So make sure it's a number also that is big enough that holds them to that commitment, holds them to the fire. And ours is $5,000 non-refundable. We've only had one contract in 6 years ever back out, and they also knew that they walked away from that $5,000 earnest money deposit that was non-refundable. Going to number 4, this really talks about the assignment fee. The assignment fee is the difference of what you put the home under contract for and what you sold the contract for to the cash buyer. The difference is yours, and they call that the assignment fee. It's not unheard of. The national average is between $10,000 and $15,000. If you can find a good deal, you can make $10,000 to $15,000. Now, because I've been doing this for many years, ours is even bigger than that. And sometimes this can create a problem if not handled correctly. When talking with your cash buyers, it's being aware and letting them know, hey, I do make a lot of money on these deals. Is this gonna bug you? And if they're gonna be bugged, they may not be the cash buyer you wanna do business with. You want them to be buying the deal because it makes sense to them. That they're not worried about how much money you make, but that they're buying it because it's a deal to them and they're gonna make enough money. That's who you work with. And so a lot of people don't want to let the cash buyers know how much they're making. We're the complete opposite. Address the elephant. Let them know, I make a lot of money. Is that gonna bug you? Before we sign this assignment agreement with you? And this is a big red flag if they say yes. Move on to the next cash buyer. For us, our average is around 25 to 30,000. So we let them know up front. And we like to put it in the assignment agreement so they're aware of it and they sign to it, that they know we're making a lot of money. So put that price in there. Don't jog around or dodge the hard conversations. Have them up front so that this goes to the closing. All right, number 5 is going to be the breakdown of the whole entire deal. So up first, you have the purchase price of the underlying transaction. That's gonna be the price that you put the home under contract. So if I put the home under contract at $100,000 with the seller, and then the assignment fee is gonna be what you charge. So let's say it's $15,000. So you're gonna put assignment fee of $15,000. Agent's commission, because most of these transactions are not dealt with agents, every now and again, maybe an agent is gonna come to you and say, hey, I have a buyer that wants this deal. That's okay. But in most cases, you're working directly with the cash buyer. There won't be an agent commission. If so, just jot a line through it. The next one is minusing out their deposit. That's that $5,000 non-refundable earnest money that they drop off. So you can minus that out. And that way, total due at closing would add up to be $110,000 because $5,000 of that assignment fee is already in there as earnest money. Hey guys, before I move on to finishing all of the assignment agreement, I want you to hit that subscribe button. Also hit that bell so it alerts you when we put fresh new content up, and also share this with individuals that you know could use this training. Number 6 is just gonna protect you and let the cash buyer know what time frame, when do they need to close by. So have a specific date, not sometime in April, but April 25th. And you'll see that there's 5 p.m. So make sure you have a specific deadline that they have to fulfill. The last 2 things to really make mention is just remember that this is as is. This is not something that a cash buyer can come back afterward and say, oh, you know what? We got into this. We found out the foundation is cracked. Or we found out there's mold in the home. Or worst case scenario, there's meth in the home. That is not your problem. They need to understand that when they sign this agreement, they also understand that they're buying a home as is. There is no inspection period. There is no seller needs to fix this before I buy. That's the traditional side. On the wholesale side, we're buying these homes as is, and your cash buyer has to understand that. Now guys, as I'm going through this contract, I'm just kind of hitting the big points on the contract, but you may find out there's a couple things that I'm going over that maybe you don't quite understand. It's okay. What I want you to do is comment down below the questions you have. I read all those comments and I'll make sure that I get back to you and actually respond to the comments that you're having. Now, along with number 11, the point we just made about buying the home as is, you might have been thinking like, wait, he said meth. Did they really buy homes with meth? Yes. I feel like an investor is the only one that can help them. A traditional buyer is not going to buy that. That's already scary. All you're thinking of is, oh my goodness, this takes so much money to rehab. Guys, let me tell you a story that still to this day, it just, you won't believe it. Every time we have this story shared, we just laugh because it was so real. But it's like you have to think about it. Did that really happen? We had an individual, we went to the house, me and my business partner. We go up to the door and we knock on the door because they said, hey, we're interested in selling. So they open up the door, and in this like side peripheral vision over here, we see the window upstairs and this big like flame go off. And I'm talking not a little match flame. I'm talking like a big old burn going on. And I look over at my business partner, I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then we look upstairs and there's 5 or 6 tents in the living room. Each tent has 2 or 3 homeless people living in them. We go around the corner in the kitchen and there are 20 people huddled up trying to stay warm. They didn't have the heat on. The water had been shut off. The gas was shut off, but at least it protected them from outside because it was the winter months. And at this point, I'm thinking to my business partner, I'm like, should we be armed right now? Like, is there something that we should be thinking? Like, should we even be in here? And then instantly in my head, I'm thinking, there's got to be so many bad drugs in here. And I'm naive to this. I'm like, can you be smelling this stuff? Like, is it okay to be in a home like this? And we were nervous I'll get out. This is at the beginning stages, guys. And then the owner comes out. He was the one cooking meth on that big flame in that room when we first came to the door. Now, guys, the level of count on meth on this was exceeding the state limits by 5 times. And you might be thinking, well, how do you find a cash buyer to buy something like this? We did. And cash buyers are totally fine with it. They have a process for it. It doesn't cost as much as many people think it does anymore. And it's something that they're willing to do it because more problems like meth, like damage to the home, more problems also means getting a home at a deeper discount. And because of that, we were able to get this home at a very deep discount because of all the wrong that was going on with it. The last thing, guys, is just making sure that you get their signature. Again, this holds their feet to the fire. Once that's there, you've got a binding contract that makes them move forward unless they end up wanting to walk away from that non-refundable earnest money. Now, guys, I've included a link down below to give you a copy of this assignment agreement that we just went over today so you can have it. Again, be sure to run it by a real estate attorney. Also, I've included a free video training, a link down below for building your cash buyers list from scratch. And guys, these are the 3 strategies I use to add more than 200 cash buyers a day to my list, but ultimately to a cash buyers list that is 10,000 individuals just here in the state of Utah. So be sure to click on that link and start building those cash buyers today.